Hey, thanks for checking out the Cents Per website, where we talk about what it costs to buy vehicles, looking at it perspective of cents per mile. And the whole idea here is that if you take the idea that a car is generally good for about 200,000 miles, and if you then subtract how many miles it currently has, like a new car, that'd be zero, but maybe a used car, maybe it's, let's say, 100,000, and then you take that and you're trying to look for cents per mile, so we're going to take the dollars. In this case, let's say it costs $10,000 for 100,000 miles, and that we're looking at about 10 cents per mile, and that allows us to compare two vehicles, maybe the cost of buying a new car to buying a used car. And the real idea here is that the miles early on, like right here, the miles before 100,000, those are more valuable because you have fewer maintenance issues, less repairs, all of that kind of stuff than the ones that are here in the $100,000 to $200,000 range. And so the idea is that if you're trying to compare a new car versus a used car, maybe a used car with fewer miles with a used car with more miles, this gives you a way to do that really easily. And so you can come here, when you come to the site, this page is going to pop up. It kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. You just hit the close button. By default, you're going to just get a car here. Here's a 2018 Subaru Forester SUV, and we're going to buy that with 32,000 miles for $28,000. And we're going to drive it to the end of the life of 200,000 miles. And that, it's a nice green color, of course, at the dealership. And this is going to give us a 16.7 cents per mile cost. And so we can compare this, like, let's say, against maybe a new one. So let's go ahead. We're going to assume we're just going to buy a Forester. There's a couple ways to do this. You can either hit add new car, or we can just hit this little copy button down here. If you want to delete a car, you press the little trash can there. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. It's going to give us a copy. We can click on it, and now we can do some editing. So let's say instead, let's say it's a little older one, 2014, or maybe let's even go with a new one. So maybe we'll go up here, 2024. Which is when this is all built. And so let's say it's a blue car in Sandpoint. And we're going to change the color to blue, although this stuff doesn't really matter. The only thing that really impacts it are these numbers down here, but this allows you to kind of track your particular car. And then the hotness factor, of course, is like, well, how much do I want this? How desirable is this car? And let's say, in this case, we're looking at 35,000 miles, and there's $35,000, 0 miles, and there's the cost per mile. So let's go ahead and hit save. And actually, this information up here is, again, just for your tracking, the year, the make, the model, the style, just for your stuff. And we'll talk about this sell here and buy in just a minute. But let's assume we're just buying it. So now we can see that this used car is 16.7 cents per mile, and it has 32,000 miles on it. So it's a pretty new car. So there could be a chance, this might be worth it to go ahead and buy the new one. The new one isn't that much more. It's less than a cent more per mile to drive that, and you're going to get the warranty. It's like, if this were me, I would probably take the warranty and go ahead and get the new car if I could afford that cost out of pocket. Now let's look at another car maybe, and we're just going to create a new one, and let's assume it's maybe a little older. So we'll just keep to this Subaru. We can just type in here, let's just say it's a Legacy sedan, and this one, maybe I would put the location, and let's say this is in Pullman. And the color, let's just say it's a nice brown color. And since it's a little older, maybe it's not quite as hot. And let's say it's a price of $15,000, and let's say it has 105,000 miles on it. So we're gonna hit save. So now, if we look at this, I see this car is less, but the price, this price per mile, the cents per mile, is still really high compared with this Forester, either the new one, because there's not that much difference. Now, what is that pricing to be for a car with 100,000 miles on it? Well, let's just go in here and do some checking. So let's say we move this down to like 11,000. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, no, this is a little different, because now we have a significantly lower cost per mile for the last 100,000. So if you know a few things about fixing cars, you're okay with going to the repair shop, this could be a really great solution for you for this particular car. Now, let's talk about what it might look like to actually sell a car back once you buy it. So let's say you're not planning to drive it till the end of its life. So let's say we're going to buy the car like this, and then we're going to sell it at a certain point, maybe trade it in or do something like that. So I'm going to click on this car right here. I'm going to choose sell. And now down here we can see that the sale information has popped up. So let's take, I actually just went down to the dealership, and I had asked them, hey, what are you willing to give me for my 2018 Forester? So let's go ahead and just take an example here. So let's say we drive this for let's say 80,000 miles, right? So we're going to sell it at 80,000 miles, and they're going to say, hey, we can give you $18,000 at 80,000 miles. So we're going to hit save. Now what this says is that if I sell it back at 80,000 miles for $18,000, I am going to end up paying 21.3 cents per mile that I've driven, which is significantly higher than whatever that was, like the 17 cents per mile. So be very careful when you're selling a car back, because as soon as you sell a car, you then determine how much per mile you've actually paid, because the original calculation is driving into 200,000 miles. So the question is, what would I need to sell this car for to make it worthwhile so that the price per mile isn't so high? So I can come in here and I can adjust. If the car has 80,000 miles, I can't really change that. But if I adjust this, if I could sell it for 23,000, wow, I'm down to 15 cents a mile. This is actually better than if I could sell this car right now. It's a better deal than driving it to 200,000 miles, because now I can go buy a new car, because like my new car would be cheaper than 15 cents a mile. So, and even if you could get more for it, which this is unlikely, but you can see as you raise the price, you're paying less and less and less per mile, allowing you to invest in a new vehicle and not drive those higher maintenance and repair costs in the 100,000 to 200,000 mile range. So, I mean, again, these are probably more realistic kind of numbers, although these are probably even still low, because you think about it, the cents per mile on the first 100,000 should be a bit higher than the cents per mile on the last 100,000. And so here we can see that, hey, if you're able to get 22,000 for it, that's a really good price, probably a little better than you could actually ever do. So anyway, this is the app. Let me show you a couple more things. We have the little, this brings up the help. If you click the question mark, and if you click the gear here in the corner, it's going to give you some basic information that you can do. So you can take here and say show cumulative year costs, the max miles, and the miles per year. You can hit the restore defaults if you want. This cumulative, if I click this, I click close, it just shows you the total cost of the vehicle. Now, just one note, we do have some repair and maintenance costs here. These are just kind of estimates based on some research on those types of things. And here you do see this bump, because there is, when you look at the typical maintenance schedules, there's maintenance that has to be done around 100,000 miles. There's just things that seem to fail on vehicles around that time. So there is a bump right there. Again, these are just some kind of general averages, so you can see what you're looking at. So like this one doesn't have that bump because it's already at 100,000 miles. And this one doesn't have the bump because we're going to sell it at 80. So anyway, thanks for checking out Cents Per, figuring out how maybe making a vehicle purchase could make sense to you.